Welcome to the next module, everyone. I'm Dr. Emil Hangazadeh, and I'm really excited about this week's topic, expression. So let's get right into it. First, I have to come right out and cop to my biases. I am a deep believer in technology as the primary catalyst in our lives. I mean everything from cultural developments to political developments, and yes, even biological developments. Of course, I'm not going to use this opportunity to espouse my personal beliefs, but there is something to be said about the power of technology in just about every aspect of our daily lives. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that technology is the answer to everything, but it is. Just kidding. Almost everything, but not everything. So my recent work has caused me to think about broad categories wherein technologies are useful for educators. And for quite some time, I distilled these categories down to just three: automation, communication, and analysis. What do I mean? I am a proponent of personalized learning pathways. If I had it my way, every student in K-12 education would have an IEP. Why this is not the case, I don't know. But I think it's the future of K-12 education. Maybe it's because some people associate the term individualized education plan with meeting the needs of students with disabilities. And that makes sense. After all, the term comes from federal mandates about just that population. But when I say IEP, I'm talking about a more conceptual definition of IEPs. Why shouldn't every student have a purposefully formulated and well-documented plan for improved education outcomes? Why don't we meet with all of the service providers, including teachers, administrators, assistants, parents, and so forth, on a regular basis to review the progress of each child all the time? Well, I know why. It's because we just don't have the resources. I'm talking about time primarily, certainly. Imagine participating in a quarterly IEP meeting for, say, 150 students at the high school level. Think of the amount of time it would take just to document and track this progress. Educators are slammed as is, but that's where technologies can come into play. With the advent of big data aggregators and more advanced automated analysis software, we might be able to get closer to that idea. I'm sure you've all heard about computerized adaptive testing systems. This is when a student takes an exam on a device, and every time he answers an item, the software re-estimates his ability based on all the previous answers and the difficulty of those items. Then the computer selects the next item that he should have a 50% chance of answering correctly, so that the next item isn't too easy or too difficult, and to gather as much information as possible about the kid, or at least about his true ability. This makes every assessment item challenging for the student because each item is targeted to his ability, and the more assessments and assessment items the child responds to, the more precise the software will estimate a student's true knowledge and understanding. But what if we were able to not just use this sort of technology for assessment purposes? Well, thanks to technologies, we can. It's a field referred to as adaptive learning. And though it's still in its infancy, it's got many a scholar and professional discussing its potential with regard to providing personal learning pathways for kids. Adaptive learning is when software adapts the presentation of content based on how a student performs on a set of questions. Without adaptive learning programs, I contend that we just won't ever be able to create customized, tailor-made learning experiences for our students, especially if we want the lessons to be standards-based. Now, adaptive learning programs are already out there in the field, like you may be aware of the ALEX Corporation, which was recently purchased by McGraw-Hill. They create adaptive learning programs. McGraw-Hill has also put out a product named SmartBook that's pretty amazing. Take a look.